Thank you so much. I'm very excited for everything I have to share with you today, and I am going to be going lightning fast. So I apologize if it's maybe a little too fast. But like you, I wear many hats, and I am definitely still in the field, in the trenches. I joined Essential Ed because it aligns with my educator mission, which is to increase quality and access of the instruction that we provide to students. That's what I do with my face-to-face online class. I have a very large face-to-face online class, so we wouldn't survive without a host of technology tools. So I have two main objectives for this talk. I want to encourage you to try some of the things you see me do today, but even more than that, I want to inspire you to take a close look at all of the resources, talents, experiences, everything that you have available to you and learn to use them in ways that benefit your students. The things that I do didn't come about simply because I'm an educator. They came about because I'm genuinely interested in technology and some other things that, which is why I have some of the equipment that I have. But I wanted to use the equipment and everything else I had for the benefit of my students. So my online class, this is a small sampling of my students who stayed around for the photo opportunity. We have about 80 in total, and there are a lot of moving parts to serving a group of students online that large. I have a co-teacher. She also works at Essential Ed with me. We came together, but we still love our students and love the opportunities that we have to work with them. A few main pieces that make our face-to-face online class possible. Zoom, obviously, is how we meet, but Zoom is far more than just a meeting place. There's so many features within Zoom that we can use as teachers and to engage our students. We use a free version of the Google Classroom, which gives me a place to organize all of the materials that we use for class and the things that I've created, which is a really fun part of today, is getting to show you that. And we also have our distance learning platforms. I use Essential Ed. I've used it in the field long before I was an Essential Ed employee. I was an Essential Ed customer. And I can't imagine what I do without it because that provides the 24/7 accessibility piece that is integrated to what we do in our class, and it's personalized for each and every one of our students. Take a closer look at some of these things. Zoom chat, and I thank Christy so much for demonstrating how to use Zoom chat for formative assessment. I use that to see how my students are doing. I set up the chat so that they can only chat with me. They can't chat each other. That serves a couple of useful purposes. But by engaging students in the chat, I can see immediately, are they getting it? Are they not? Am I getting right answers really fast? Or is there a lot of space in between the answers? I know if I need to reteach or if it's okay to move on. The polls take a little more time to set up. My co-teacher loves to use these because with her social studies lessons because they give the students another format to respond in, and we also have that timed feature. She encourages the students to respond in under 90 seconds, which gives them a feel for that time testing situation about how long they can afford to spend on each question and helps them not overthink things. Zoom annotations, the whiteboards. I use a Huion pen and tablet. It's not an expensive one. It's about $30 on Amazon, but it turns my entire shared screen into a writable surface. So I can use it to fill in blanks, to solve math problems, to draw illustrations. And not only can I do it, but my participants can do it too. Want to try it out? First thing we need to do is have you find your annotations. If you've joined the session today with a Zoom app, you'll be able to do this. If you joined through your browser, you will not. If you're on a PC, take a look at the picture on the left. You'll see a green bar that says you're viewing my screen. Click View Options, and then click on that Annotate. If you're on a Mac, it looks like the one on the right. You'll see Carol Bible's screen with 3 dots. Click on the 3 dots and then choose Annotate. I've got my pen and tablet. And It's not going to cooperate with me. I've got two computers side by side, and they're trying to connect to each other, so I need to back up. Okay, let's try this again. So I like to do math with my pen, and maybe we're solving this math problem. And maybe I want to say, okay, class, which of these are like terms? Give you a hint. The 5y and the 3y are like terms. Can you use your annotations to point? Either you can use the check mark and the stamps, you can use an arrow, you can use a pen to circle. Yeah, where are my like terms? And I can see names popping up, so I see who's responding. Very good. Yes, we combine those like terms. Plus 6 equals 54. What's the next step? What's the next thing I need to do? Hint, I need to subtract 6 from both sides of this equation. So what am I going to do next? Show me what number I need to work with. Yep, see some marks there. Fantastic. Yep, we're going to subtract 6 from both sides. These cancel, and that leaves me with 8y equals 48. Last step would be to divide by 8 on both sides, and y equals 6. Great job. If somebody had trouble, I might say, show me which part of the problem that you are having trouble with. So that's another way that we can engage our students. Clear all my annotations. Calculator training, I think, is really important. You're having that TI-30 XS Multiview calculator as a helper during the test. If they're taking the high set, they're able to use it for all of it. So I spend a good amount of time with calculator training. Most of my students have the handheld calculator, some don't. So if I use this online emulator, which I purchased for about $25 for the year from SchoolSmart, then I can share my screen with this. Students can see exactly what I'm typing in. They can try it on their own. If they don't have a calculator yet, or if they're having trouble with what they're typing in, I can give them remote control through Zoom and say, show me what you're doing. And they can type it in and we can troubleshoot from there. The Google Classroom is where I store all of the things that we use for class. The free version is plenty. And you see I have a number of different types of materials in here. I have a link to some IXL practice. I have a slide deck. I have a reading passage and vocabulary exercise that I created using ChatGPT. I learned how to use ChatGPT in an EdTech Strategy session. So thank you so much for that, Rachel. I use it a lot. I have a couple of videos in here, and I have an MP3 read aloud that I created for students. That's coming. I use the Google Classroom to organize things that I've created for students. I recorded a calculator tutorial series. I'm all about increasing access with my online class, and students needed, with them coming in and out of class at different times, so sometimes they miss the lessons that I've already taught. So I've built independent study modules and some helps like this tutorial series for students who join class who need to catch up or need something at a particular moment. And that brings me to the part that I'm really excited about today, which is teaching you how to do, or at least giving you a taste of what it's like to do some content creation. Most teachers, I know this is me, I have never met a packaged curriculum that I thought was 100% perfect, complete, exactly what I needed. I'm always making things, and I love the ability to make exactly what I need for my students. I have students with very low reading levels who sometimes have IEPs with read aloud accommodations. I want to honor that as much as possible. It's a really tough thing sometimes to do in the adult ed environment, unless you're just reading out loud in class. But it's also helpful for our non-native English speakers who benefit from hearing things read aloud. So I wanted to create read aloud recordings and attach them to reading passages for my students. I installed a free audio editing software called Audacity, downloaded it, watched some YouTube tutorials to learn the basics, grabbed a passage, and just started recording. I can edit, I create QR codes to attach to those read aloud passages to make those read aloud recordings accessible for everyone in my class who needs it. And I've got a little demo video here to show you how to do that. I recorded it because it was going to be much faster than what I could demo for you live today. I'm going to demonstrate for you how to do a read aloud recording for your students using Audacity, a free audio editing software available on the internet. I have my passage on the right. I have my recorder on the left. Here we go. It was Christmas Eve, and old Scrooge was busy working in his office. The weather outside was freezing and foggy. People in the street were coughing, rubbing their hands, and stomping their feet to stay warm. Even though it was only 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it was already dark, and the city had been gloomy all day. Candles glowed dimly in nearby homes. Candles glowed dimly in nearby offices, flickering against the thick brown fog that seeped through every crack and keyhole. The houses across the narrow court looked like ghostly shapes hidden in the mist. It seemed as if the fog itself was something alive, brewing in the air. Okay, so I made a mistake, and you probably noticed that I clapped. And I clapped because I wanted to be able to see where my mistake was. This makes editing very easy. You can see that the shape of the waveform here and here are pretty similar. So, and my clap is in the middle. So this is where I messed up. I'm going to start there, go over to where I did it again, and hit delete, and that removes my mistake. So let's see what this sounds like. My cursor where I want to start. It was Christmas Eve, and old Scrooge was busy working in his office. The weather outside was freezing and foggy. People in the street were coughing, rubbing their hands, and stomping their feet to stay warm. Even though it was only 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it was already dark, and the city had been gloomy all day. Candles glowed dimly in nearby offices, flickering against the thick brown fog that seeped through every crack and keyhole. The houses across the narrow court looked like ghostly shapes hidden in the mist. It seemed as if the fog itself was something alive, brewing in the air. Okay, that sounds pretty good. We removed the mistake. I'm going to trim the ends the same way that I cut out my mistake, just by clicking and dragging to highlight. And then I like to do a little finish work on my audio recording. So I highlight the whole thing. I hit Shift X, which is a keyboard shortcut I set up that's going to remove any clicks or pops. And it's going to push up my levels so that the lows are not quite so low and it kind of evens things out. I could do a lot more with this if I had the time and inclination, but this is just a read along for our students. So this is going to be more than sufficient. Let's see how it sounds now. It was Christmas Eve, and old Scrooge was busy working in his office. The weather outside, so you notice it's quite a bit louder now. If I had any areas that were too loud, I could go in and fix those independently. Okay, so I've got that part. Now let's see how we finish this. I'm going to save the project. Call it audio demo, save the project, and then I'm going to export the project as an MP3. And I have my computer set up to store these on my desktop. So here's my audio demo down here. The next step is to create a QR code for that MP3. I'm going to need to upload this to my Google Drive so that I have a link associated with it. I'm going to make sure we get the MP3, not the OP3. Okay, that is uploaded, and I need to change the share settings so that anyone with a link can listen. I'm going to copy the link, and now we're going to go visit QR Code Monkey. QR Code Monkey is a free forever QR code generator, and paste it into the URL of the code generator. Click Create Code, and then download the code. Okay, finally, I'm going to, let's see, I can name this code. And I'll put it also on my desktop. I open my document. Put the cursor where I want to insert the code. We're going to insert an image. Upload from the computer. Here's our code. They're always enormous. Grab the corners and resize them. Okay, so there's the code for this part of our read aloud. You can go ahead and try it out if you want. Grab your phone, open up your camera. The idea with this with my online class would be that when I instruct the students to read the passage on their own, they can scan the QR code from my shared screen and listen to it being read to them. It was Christmas Eve, and old Scrooge was busy working in his office. The weather outside was freezing and pretty slick, right? That's one way that I create content with the read alouds. That QR code thing, you can do that with any number of media types that you want to attach to things to make them more accessible to students. And I have my challenged readers who use that, but also my non-native speakers really appreciate it. So I try to take that universal design to learning approach, that something that maybe one person needs might be beneficial to far more people than that. The QR code thing can be applied to edited videos, and that's the last thing I want to demonstrate for you here. I was spending a lot of time teaching, and I was recording everything, and I wanted to get a little more mileage out of the work that I was doing. So I thought, what if I could take those hours of recordings that I have and cut them down, cut out just the pieces that I want to use, maybe in a breakout room or for a small group lesson to cover just one topic. And of course I could. It took a little bit of effort because I had to learn to use a video editing software. Same idea. I had to choose one, played around with a lot of them. I landed on Adobe Rush, not least of all because my school already had a subscription to the Adobe Creative Cloud and I could use it for free. But there are plenty of options. You just have to decide what you like. Adobe Rush is very user-friendly, pretty easy. There's a lot you can do with it, but it's light duty. So with those long class videos, I will do things like edit out my students, edit mistakes, edit excess wait time, add some titles and some cool effects, and then reuse them in class. Let's see just a little taste of how that works. When I started my online class, I recorded everything for probably 2 years. And with this demo, I'm going to show you how I get a little more mileage out of some of the work I've already done by reusing bits and pieces of those videos that I've already recorded. Some of the things I like to do if I'm going to reuse a video, you see my lovely students here on the right, and I don't necessarily want to see them, especially if I'm going to share a video outside of my own school, maybe with a colleague somewhere. So I'm going to use the crop feature here to get rid of them. And I left the strip consistently through the video on that right side. So I'm just going to grab the handle for the right and pull that over, and just like that, they're gone. And then I can come up, grab my horizontal position, and center the rest of the image. Now, another thing I like to do is I listen to all my videos after I record them. Sometimes I make some silly little misspeaks and I want to get rid of those. And I did one of those here, so I'll show you how I cut that out.
The first thing I like to do with a scenario like this is
I can just grab this handle and scrub through. I know I want to use the examples and I know where my mistake was. So we're going to find that.
x plus 6 divided by 3 is equal to x over 2.
Let's see, I said x over 2, not x plus 2. And it's not going to hurt anything if I just take out that section. So I'm going to go find where I started that.
2. 6 divided by 3. Yeah.
Okay, right after the yeah. I'm going to cut there. And I'm just going to go until I hit the start of the next explanation. Use my scissors, cut there. Now this is gone. Trash can. Let's see what that transition looks like.
Divided by 3. Yeah. In the example that they show here.
Okay, and that blended nicely into the next part. So now I'm going to keep running forward. I can see in my audio waveform down in the bottom, I can see where I've stopped talking for a little bit. Sometimes that's wait time that I don't necessarily want in my reusable video. So I may cut some of that out. Let's see what's going on here. Looks like that might just be transition time that I could get rid of.
So that is another way to go about these.
So it's not for everybody.
Yep, not doing anything important there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those few seconds out. And cut with the scissors, come over here to where I start talking again, cut, highlight that, and I can hit the delete key on my keyboard, or I can go over and hit the trash can. And then I'll go ahead and add a title, maybe something a little more interesting than that. Yeah, I like this one. So we'll add that, and this is, okay, got my title up there. Text color, what do we want to do? Let's do blue. Writing polynomials. Let's try that.
The first thing I like to do with a scenario like this is
okay, I like that. That's it. And now I'm going to share. I'm going to give this a name. And I already have a folder set up in Documents for videos. I'm going to hit Export. And just like you link read aloud recordings with QR codes, you can do the same thing with a video. And I've done that with a number of lessons, practice tests, post-test prep that I put together videos for that I wanted to make readily available. I use them online, but we've also linked QR codes to handouts and use them with in-person classes to increase that access to instruction. And you can literally clone yourself. I can be in a breakout room teaching a lesson with a video while I'm working with another math group at the same time, and then they switch. It's a wonderful thing. The last couple of minutes I have, Jason would have my head if I didn't mention the distance learning programs. And they are so important. That saves me so much time as a teacher by helping me differentiate instruction, by creating that individualized learning plan for each student that would take me a very long time to do for all 80 of my students. It gives me some really detailed information about their progress, helps me track progress with visual guides, graphs that makes it really easy for me to see who is where, help determine their readiness to test, and help me know what they need to get ready to test. Essential Ed has been an indispensable part of my curriculum since 2017. And I also use other programs. I use IXL. I create a lot of things myself. And but the things I've created along with Essential Ed gives my students access, 24/7 access to what they need. They don't have to wait until they come to class. So I hope you are like the person on the left, wondering what you could possibly do. And this is how it all starts. I saw QR codes in an Essential Ed workbook, and I thought, I wonder if I could do that with my stuff. The answer is probably so, and you should definitely try and keep on trying. Even if it doesn't work the first time, keep trying. Once you get the content creation piece down, you have so many more options as an instructor. It can just really make the sky the limit for you.